Hey guys, this is Jennifer from the Shooter's Mindset, and we are live with episode 402. We have our co-host tonight. Corey, how's it going?
Really sore and tired.
Sore and tired.
Yeah. Too much shooting.
From fun things or not fun things?
Too much shooting.
Okay, so fun things.
Oh yeah.
It's okay to be sore from that. And our other co-host, Greg Cannon, how's it going?
Also sore and tired, and still might be a little bit cold from the weekend.
Wah. But was it snowing?
No, it was much colder than the match that we shot in the snow.
No, I'm talking about Oklahoma. That's the coldest I've ever been.
I
The
was
finale?
not there because
Yes, the finale, and it was awful.
Oh.
Yeah, that was not good weather. But we are not here to talk about the weather tonight. We are here. We have our guests of the night that everyone really wants to hear from Apex Optics. We have Van and Carlee Krtolica here with us from Canada. How's it going tonight, guys?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Can't complain. If I did, no one would care, so it's okay.
That's usually what I say.
Yeah, that's right. No, we're good. So y'all have Apex Optics. First, tell us a little bit. We'll get into Apex in a minute, but first tell us about yourselves a little bit and how y'all got into shooting for anyone that doesn't know you.
Well, yeah, but basically, Carlee and I started shooting together. I didn't really grow up with firearms. I didn't grow up with hunting or anything like that. And then after Carlee and I got married a couple of years later, we decided to get our firearms licenses up here in Canada. You have to do that. And then we bought our first firearms. I think I bought a hunting rifle, and you bought a 20 gauge over under. And then we just started trap shooting, and then we got into other stuff. And then we found out about pistol sports and 3-gun and everything else. And
Yeah.
we started competing, and we both come from competitive sports backgrounds, and for us, shooting sports was just kind of a natural extension. It's like, oh, this is something cool we can do together, and then we can get into it. And I think we shot quite a bit I got into IPSC IPSC and USPSA up here, and then we started shooting Steel Challenge together, and then she was a lot better at it than I was, so that was fun.
So that
We
goes.
shot nationals 2 years in a row together.
Yeah.
And Carlee ended up taking the ladies division 1 year.
In 2018, yeah.
2018, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I did not defend my title the following year. I came in second, but I was 5 months pregnant.
Our first kid.
Well,
What division?
give you a pass on that.
Rimfire pistol open. Yeah.
Yes, Rimfire
Very
pistol
nice.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, and then it was literally one of those scenarios where we ask our OBGYN, her doctor, it's like, it's a weird question. I don't know. Like, is Carlee allowed to compete in this? And, 5 months pregnant? And he's like, what are you talking about?
It's plenty insulated in there. Just as long as you're not taking impact in your abdomen with a 12 gauge, you're fine.
Yeah.
So,
We're like, okay.
yeah.
So that's kind of our history, like, competitive shooting. And then, once kind of the 3-gun sport more or less went by the wayside, it's kind of starting to make a bit of a resurgence now with some additional semi-auto options. But the AR platform got banned up here in Canada. A lot of guys that I shot 3-gun with kind of started PRS, and I was like, what's PRS? I had no idea what this was. They're like, yeah, it's basically like long range precision shooting, positional stuff, timed, same kind of rules. I was like, oh, interesting. That sounds super cool. And, I like to nerd out on things. So once I decided to try it out, I built a gun, and then Carlee came out with me at a couple of matches, and I had a great time, and it was probably one of the best environments that I was in, as far as, the people involved in the community, and everybody's willing to help out. And especially if you're new, and lend you gear and try out a bag or whatever.
We just couldn't get over how welcoming everyone was.
Yeah.
Like, it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So, we just kind of fell in love with the people in the sport, and then I haven't honestly shot a single match that wasn't PRS in the last 4 years. So
Yeah.
I barely touched my pistols. I've barely touched my
2019 was the last time at Nationals for Steel Challenge that we shot.
It's been
pistols
4 years.
competitively. Yeah.
So we've been kind of all in on PRS and rimfire and whatever else we can get our hands on. So
Very nice.
Awesome. So you do a little of this and a little of that in the shooting sports. But then there's this other thing, Apex Optics, that came about. Y'all are kind of new to the game, but hearing the name a little more. So tell us a little bit about how it got its start, where the idea come from. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, kind of leading in from starting to shoot PRS, Carlee unfortunately wasn't able to compete because we just had a baby the previous November or the November of 2019. And I shot some matches and then
in summer 2020,
and whatever else. And then
I was pregnant again.
Yeah, we had two kids really close together.
Yeah.
And then really just kind of came about is that, I started to upgrade my gear. I started with a pretty basic REM 700 build and had a pretty inexpensive scope on it. I just kind of wanted to see if I tried it out, if I liked it. And I did. And then I started upgrading my rifle. And then, I had this custom full rifle build out by, it was a Curtis custom action with an IBI barrel, trigger to trigger, or like MET chassis, like the whole deal. And then I was like, well, I can't have this $500 scope on there. And like, that doesn't really, and it was okay when I was first starting out, but I definitely saw some shortfalls in it. And then I started looking at options, and Carlee and I were doing research, and we were trying to figure out like, oh, what's the next scope that I should buy? And literally as a result of that, I think I had a spreadsheet of like 35 different scopes. I started narrowing it down to like the top 10 to top 15 that had all the features I was looking for, but they were all starting to be in that, especially up here with the conversion rate, with import and all that kind of stuff, and availability ended up being that pretty much everything was going to be $3,500 and up Canadian. So
I'm like, why doesn't this exist? Why is it like $500 or $700 and then this massive jump to several thousand just to get decent glass and a good feature set and things? I remember saying to him, I'm like, I don't understand this. Like, this doesn't make sense.
Why does this exist? Yeah. So then we started really like kind of getting into it, with one kid, one on the way, a house renovation. We're both working full time. Carlee doesn't get mat leave because we're both self-employed entrepreneurs. So, it was one of those things where we're just like, pandemic hits and we're kind of, are we crazy, insane people thinking that we can start an optics company when we absolutely have no experience in this space whatsoever?
So like, if it doesn't exist, why don't we make it? I mean, we're entrepreneurs by nature. That was actually my major in university. But yeah, it was just one of those things that we thought, you know what, like,
let's see if it's possible.
Let's see if it's possible. We'll give it a go. We'll see. And we also thought, if we don't do this, maybe somebody else is going to. So honestly, what's the worst that could happen? We try and it sucks, and then we move on to something else.
Yeah.
So
yeah, when you fail plenty, you'll learn to just keep going, right? So yeah, really for us, it was just kind of, that's how the idea was born. And then we started to look at potential manufacturing partners because, to start up your own manufacturing plant and CNC machines and glass grinding potentially, and assembly, clean rooms, all that stuff is very capital intensive, as I'm sure you would know. Yeah. So we started looking at OEM, ODM partners to, overseas factories that we wanted to work with. We, right away eliminated places like China, Philippines, and others that were not Japan. We really kind of had our sights set on Japanese glass, Japanese quality, assembly, and kind of reputation for quality was one of them. The European factories wanted nothing to do with us because, well, they kind of do all in-house, and they want to stick to serving their market, which is totally fine. And so then we started kind of going down a couple of different paths of talking to the two major factories in Japan and getting some samples made up of the spec of what we were looking for. So that took a couple of months to really iron out what we were going to get done. They made us the samples. We started evaluating, and that's kind of how the first product ideas were born out. Prior to those samples getting made, we really spent a lot of time doing R&D with a lot of the top shooters up here in Canada that I had shot with, that I had the privilege of kind of meeting at some matches. We exchanged some numbers, or maybe, friended each other on Facebook after a match. And then when it was time, I just kind of reached out to all those guys and be like, we're kind of thinking about doing a crazy thing. Would you guys be willing to give us some input and some feedback?
It was, the response was overwhelming.
Yeah. And we were kind of talking about, like, what do we offer these guys? Do we offer them like some money? Like, they want $500 to fill out a survey? Like, what's going to be?
Like, I'll give you a $10 Starbucks card if you help me out. They were just like, oh my God, somebody actually asked. Somebody cares what I think. Yes, I would be happy to give you my input, good, bad, or otherwise, because no one's ever asked me before.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of the process. We started collating all the data and assembling everybody's feature requests and what was important, what wasn't important in a competition long range scope for PRS specifically, and we kind of started getting into the nitty gritty of reticle design and all those different things. So that's kind of how the idea got born out, and that was the process that we took under. And then once we kind of had the 20th rev of the reticle design, we're like, yeah, I think that's probably the one, and like send it off to the factory to start etching glass for us. And it was a good wild ride. But yeah, and really for us, we chose to work with a particular factory the way they ended up doing it, but just because they had a really good track record of making really good quality products for a well-known American brand. And it was kind of an easy call for us after that.
Yeah.
And honestly, the sample that they made for us was unbelievable and was lights out. So we're like, yep, this is exactly what we want to do.
So who shoots the sample now?
It's in the cupboard. It's just
Yeah.
it's sitting in the shop, just kind of there's 3 samples. I shot that sample the entire last season because we had our production run in, but I was like, well, I'm not going to take one off the shelf that I can sell to somebody. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have them because we're like, well, we want to keep them, so eventually we can have like a little Apex museum of things, and we can tell our grandchildren stories, this is what we did when we started the company.
Yeah, with that old timey voice.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I shot that whole sample all last year, and I was actually the last match I shot with was my best ever finish. So I was like, oh, okay, clearly it still works. That's fine. So yeah, I don't get to practice, so my matches are my practice, and I only shot like 3 or 4 matches last year. So my scores were progressively getting better, which is good. But yeah, so that's kind of how that started, and that's the story.
Then it's like one product kind of leads into another, and all of those things, and we've grown a lot quicker than we anticipated, and it's been incredible. Everyone in the industry has been so welcoming. The Canadian industry has been really welcoming. The optics industry surprisingly are the most welcoming. It's been really great.
Yeah, that's been one of the biggest takeaways that we've seen from the industry so far is that every time we meet somebody from a competing optics company, from the small to the large, everybody's like, oh my god, guys, I've heard so much about you, can't wait to meet you. Like
the other optics companies. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's nice.
It's been wonderful, honestly.
So.
Yeah,
everybody's awesome in this community with that. I think it's great. So where are your headquarters, and where's the manufacturing occurring?
So our headquarters are here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So we're in the west, right by the Rocky Mountains. So we do all of our engineering, design, testing, QA, QC, everything's done here.
Because we have a lot of extreme weather conditions within an hour drive any direction of where we are. We can go into like flatland desert with like hoodoos and cacti and like all that kind of stuff.
And rattlesnakes.
And rattlesnakes, or we can go out to extreme cold or the mountains, just all kinds of terrain, all like even in one day. So it gives us a lot of opportunity for that kind of thing.
Yeah, like this, everything from that super fine silty clay dust to everything in between. Yeah.
And then we're manufactured in Saitama Prefecture, just outside of Tokyo.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's
very cool.
So actually, we're planning on a trip there in the next probably 6 to 8 weeks. I think we're just trying to firm up those dates to do the factory inspection tour, to kind of look at some of the products that they're assembling for us right now, because we have 2 new product lines coming out that we're pretty excited about. And so we're going to be there during assembly and final inspection, and then kind of meet with everybody in the factory and do a little bit of a tour. And and it's going to be our second time back in Japan, but we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any sightseeing plan?
We're thinking about it. We're trying to figure that out. Actually, we're talking about it.
Actually, because when we went before, we packed so much into our trip, and it was the only place in the world that I've been that I'm like planning a trip back immediately was when we were in Japan, which was in 2018, I think.
Yeah, we went for 11 days, I think.
11, it was nowhere near enough, but we're trying to figure out what makes sense, how much we can pack in with all of our business commitments and stuff while we're there too. So,
and then we don't want to be gone for too long with the 2 little
our
kids.
Are small,
so we're like,
trying to balance it out.
Yeah, our girls are 2 and 3. So
yeah, grandma only has so much patience.
Yes.
I'll better do some
And they're
stuff.
high. Yeah.
Definitely.
So you talked about a lot of kind of like the initial design and what you were looking for and trying to fill a gap, but what sets you apart? Is it the warranty? Is it where you're made, what makes you different from the other optics manufacturers?
I wouldn't say the warranty, because we all have the same warranty now.
More or less, yeah.
Because that standard's been
Okay.
set.
So we offer a lifetime warranty, just like, everybody else out there. We kind of have to,
Okay.
and we're happy to stand behind our
Absolutely.
product. We'll support our customers. One of the things that does set us apart with warranty is that, as shooters, we kind of always say that we're for shooters by shooters, because we are. Everybody in our company shoots, and they've all shot competitively, and we try to keep it that way. So we understand what it's like to have a downed optic. So your rifle is useless to you unless you have a backup optic. So we if we can't fix it within like 24 hours, we'll just give you a new one, right? If it has to be sent off back to
Okay.
Japan or wherever else, then you're just going to get a new optic, because I know you have to shoot this coming weekend or in 10 days or whatever it is. So
And for that, we've got centers in both Canada and the US. You're not having to think about shipping it cross-border in either direction,
Right.
potentially being without it longer or that kind of thing as well.
yeah, so that's one of the things that we kind of wanted to do this past year when we were actually there in November in Texas. We're touring a facility that, we wanted to spin up as a distribution warehouse and a warranty center for us. So it's just outside of Dallas. And
Okay.
we're pretty excited about that. So
Yeah.
all of our US domestic shipping comes out of there. So people know they can get it in a couple of days if they order from us. But the things that set us apart was that really, I think that for shooters by shooters, as far as the product goes, we try to cram as many features into the product as we can for the price point, and I think at that $2,000 price point, we're probably one of the only optics that's made in Japan, apart from maybe one other one, but it has that high-end glass. But we have things like, super positive clicks, a well thought out reticle that is, gives you everything you need and nothing you don't, with an open top. Two-turn indicator. We give you almost 32 mils of internal travel that you need if you're running those longer shots. I know most centerfire folks don't have to, dial past 9 usually, but those are the kind of things that we like to, like cram as many features as we can. And one of the things that really sets us apart, I think, are just little things. Like for this one, in our rival scope, we have the integrated throw lever that's built in to the actual zoom ring. And it's an oversized zoom ring to begin with, but it's just 2 set screws on each side, and it pops out, and there's a plug that you can put in if it gets in your way, or if you don't like it,
Right.
or want to use something else altogether.
Painted if orange isn't your thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But one of the things that is kind of crazy to us is that, well, why hasn't anybody really done like an integrated throw lever like this? Because most of them are kind of the threaded in ones.
Right.
And then to be able to see through it, if you're on the 12 dial, you can actually see through that.
Oh, okay. Those aren't speed holes. That's actually function.
It has actual function. So if you actually take your face up off the cheek rest, then you'll actually be able to see, or if you look at your other eye or whatever it is, if you're not behind the scope. We go down on like 15-yard parallax. So it's perfect for rim fire and center fire. And
Great.
we're trying to, jam a lot of features, and our glass is, the glass manufacturer that supplies NASA, JPL, Mars rover, this James Webb telescope, those guys are the ones that grind all that top end glass. So we want to make sure that we could put in whatever we could that would, give us that advantage in optical clarity. The optical system design was very deliberately planned out from our end to be a very good competition optic specifically.
And like when Vance is deliberately, he needs to, everything we do is purpose built. We don't want to have a product just to have a SKU because one of our competitors has that SKU. We want everything to be innovative and, like I said, purpose built and thoughtful with what we do.
Yeah. People ask us all the time, are you going to come up with a rangefinder, or are you going to come up with this, or are you going to come up with that? It's like, well, there's plenty of options for that. If you want to, if you want just a good handheld rangefinder, there's like 50 different companies that make them, and they're all great. But if we're going to do a rangefinder, we're going to do it the best. We're going to try and make the best rangefinder you can possibly make for the money, and with all the features that maybe some people haven't thought of. And so, I'm not saying that we're going to make a rangefinder, but that's just an example, right?
So we
That
won't rush to market just to have a SKU. We want to make sure that everything we have is purpose built.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of
That makes
cool.
sense.
Looking at your product offerings, it's like, oh, here's my long range scope, here's my LVPO, here's that middle ground thing. There's not 15 million different things out there.
Well, and that was the thing too, like with our hunter scope that we're going to be shipping in a matter of weeks here, like our 3 to 15. What we wanted to do was actually create a hunting scope for the competitive shooter, because you're, putting thousands of rounds down range all season. And a lot of people get into these shooting sports to improve their hunting skills. Well, then you get to September, October, November, and you're like, this is an entirely different skill set than what I've actually been like practicing all year. So we wanted something that could transfer from the rival to the hunter really easily. It does have a bit more of a tactical feel than your traditional hunting scope. It has more of a tactical reticle, but we kind of call it the Rival Light, because we packed as many of the Rival features as we could into that smaller set. We're backpack hunters in the Canadian Rockies, so we're counting grams and ounces for what's going in our packs and that kind of thing. So we wanted something that would be lighter weight. The Rival is a lot to hunt with. You can hunt with it, but you probably don't want to do a 3-day backcountry trip with it necessarily, especially if you're my size and you're going to end up hauling an animal out, that kind of thing. So again, we wanted something that wasn't just like, well, this is what you use for hunting and this is what you use for your competitive season, and the two skill sets don't overlap. We wanted that to be, just transferable so that your whole year kind of flows together nicely.
And yeah, and the goal to make a lighter, more compact version of what we had in a competition scope is really difficult, because when you try to, shrink it down, you go, well, we could sacrifice some glass quality here, we could sacrifice here, we could sacrifice there, and we just chose not to do that. We could have made it probably 3 or 4 ounces lighter by not making an ED glass system, by not making an apochromatic lens system on the front end, which is that triple lens that does all the light and aberration correction for you. And you're like, great, but I still want a super high quality scope. I don't want to, I'll pay the penalty of maybe 2 or 3 extra ounces, but for that low light condition, that's what you want.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. So how do you've got to get around quality, cost, manufacturing, right? There's only so many things you can do. Keeping things in Japan is obviously huge for a lot of people right now, not working with China.
Yes.
Is super important in the US. So how do you keep the value there and not sacrifice that type of stuff?
Well, that's the thing, right? For us is, one, that was a super important piece for me, is that make sure that the value was always there, that that gives us our competitive edge, right? I mean, so especially up here, pricing wise, we wanted to make sure that we were in a slot that nobody else was serving, and that we were making the best possible product at that price point. So, instituting a Six Sigma quality control system was really important to me, because I come from a project management background, a lot of quality control, the iron triangle, making sure that we're meeting all of our all of our quality metrics was important. And we're always working on that too. Like we're catching things, as it's at the factory floor, at the QC process in the factory. And then we do a full QC before it ships. Like every single unit gets re-inspected before it ships and comes to us. And then it gets 100% re-inspected when it hits our shop. So once in our warehouse, like we literally go through every single scope. Once it's on our shelf, ready to ship, that means it's been looked over like 3 or 4 times before it goes out the door. So those are the kind of things that we try to do to kind of set us apart a little bit.
Do you have that little card that's the final guy that checks it off, that's an actual name? I know it sounds dumb, but some of us are a sucker for that. Like, that's cool.
We're actually coming out with that. We don't have it just yet, but we've been literally because it's been like 2 or 3 of us doing this, so it's not like it's.
MPT had your order was packed by.
And then
It's always the same person though.
Always the same lady,
It's really funny. We know they have tons of people, but it's always the same person that happens to pack.
Maybe it's alphabetical. Like she is my account manager.
Yeah, she very well might be.
Yeah. But yeah, no, we're definitely instituting stuff like that slowly as we're kind of evolving through our customer experience process, I guess. But yeah, the quality piece has been really important to us, and honestly, the factory had a new CEO that started later last year, in the latter part of last year, and he was down a shop and we were meeting with them as well, and we're talking about the quality process and how we can be improving. And his background is in quality control, so from another competitor factory. So yeah, we're really excited to work with them further on how can we improve the process, how do we make it better, and
we're very hands-on, if you can't tell.
I mean, this is our baby. It's our passion. So we anytime we want to put our name behind something, we want to make sure that it's the best thing out there we can possibly create.
No, I think it has to be that way in the gun industry. I think people see through it if you're not shooters. Like it's so easy to tell when you
Mhm.
talk and you have that real passion and that use case, like the hunting thing. Like you build a rifle and yeah, it can look like a hunting rifle, but do you really want to pack that? Like that's when you can tell like someone actually cares about what they're making. So I think that can't get faked.
No, I think so too. And that's the feedback that we get from a lot of people. Like they're like, we watch you guys for 5 minutes. Like they come by a booth at a trade show or they come check it out. They're like, they look at us talk about people and they see that we're passionate about what we're talking about. They're like, I could tell that you guys
Yeah.
shoot. So it's like, you're not just here faking and trying to cash in on some market. It's like, you know, it's not like we're making millions of dollars hands over fist here. It's like we're reinvesting every single penny that we make of this into growing the company, into building more product, into developing new product lines. We're doing lots of cool, innovative things that we're going to be really excited to share with you guys in about probably 12 months. But
yeah, but I mean, we develop products that selfishly we would actually like to use,
Yeah.
or that like
Yeah.
our friends in the shooting community would love to have and love to use.
Like here's an example of that, right? The hunting rifle, like we both hunt, and for me, like it was literally like, well, I just want a hunting scope that I can put on my rifle that I'd want to use, and that's how the project got started. I'm like, well, I don't want to go shoot another company's hunting a scope. You know, I had a pretty basic Nikon, duplex reticle when I first started hunting, and I had that on my.
You took a couple the first season, and you're like,
prototype out.
You're like, this was a little heavy.
It's way too heavy on my little X-Bolt. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and
he got a buck. Like it's not like it was nothing. Like it just
but it was an easy hunt.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and when we started developing our binocular line, for example, like I was like, this is something that I want to be able to take out in the field, and I know it'll work, and it'll give me all the light transmission, the optical clarity that I'm looking for. So we already kind of started. We were down that road like 3 months into the R&D process for the Bino line.
Yeah.
And then our team shooters were like, "Have you ever thought about putting a reticle in there?" And I'm like, "I really haven't, because most guys use spotters for that." He's like, "It never crossed my mind." They're like, "Can you see if it can be done?" I was like, "Sure, I'll talk to my engineers, see what's going on." And they're like, yeah, like literally 2 weeks later, we had a design for a rotating reticle and all this stuff in there. And they're like, okay. And there we are.
Yeah.
So we put the ranging reticle in our pro binos and 12 power, 12 by 50s, and they're in a massive hit already.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. The response to those, especially at SHOT Show, was incredibly overwhelming. Plus our guys who actually requested that we put a reticle in the binos were at our booth with us, and so they were just like exceptionally jazzed to just tell people about them. So
I can't tell you how many times I've heard at a match or just from a hunting buddy, I wish there was a pair of binos that wasn't 8 years old that had a reticle in it. Just anything at all.
No.
Even if they do get made, it's like trying to find, I don't know, a needle in a haystack online. Like, does anyone still have stock of this?
Unobtainium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so we're all stocked up on those now.
Yes.
We have to shift our order with our factory. Initially, we're going to split them evenly between all the ones that we had made, and we literally went 50% towards the reticle binos.
Yeah.
So it's
because the response was so overwhelming.
So crazy. We're like, no, there's definitely another gap in the market that people weren't serving properly, and and we just kind of like, let's just do it. And that's one of the advantages about being a small, nimble, agile company, is that we're able to really do smaller runs. Like we don't have to make 10,000 or 50,000 of any particular SKU to see if it's worthwhile. We'll give it a shot, right? And
Well, even with our binoculars too, I mean, we include the chest harness pack in the box with the binos. That's not an extra. And we really thoughtfully designed that so that it's got, like a spot for your reed calls, that it'll fit someone my size, Van's size. We tested it on every body type of every person we knew. We're like, okay, with all of our prototyping of the chest harness, so that it would really fit universally. Just across men and women of all shapes and sizes, and just all of the little details on something that really is just an add-on, not the actual optic product itself. We wanted to be really careful with as well.
We just wanted it to be a value add too, because I'm like, if you're buying this optic, more than likely you're either going to use it for hunting or for recreational or competition use. So that's going to be something that's actually going to be useful to you, instead of getting in just like a little black pouch that you can run a belt loop through. Like that doesn't make me excited.
No one
about
uses
the product.
that anymore.
Yeah. So I'm like, and I'm not gonna have my grandpa's, like sling thing over your shoulder kind of thing. Like, I don't want that either. So I like a good chest rig. I have like 3 of them from other companies. And I was like, why can't we just make something like that and throw it in for an extra little bit? But it's
Yeah.
like, it's included and it's just a value add. It's like,
Yeah.
here, we thought about this, like it's not just a throw in.
So you're ready to go right out of the box.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
just stuff like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, and for that value market where you're thinking, maybe this isn't something that a guy can go spend an extra $300 now on a chest rig. At least they've got what they need for it to be like quick in the field, useful, and like you're saying, not get tangled up in 8 other things.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And if guys that want to buy our binos, but they're like, well, it already comes with a chest rig, but I already got this Kuiu one or the super expensive one, or
Yeah.
one that I really love to do. So you can still run that. Absolutely. Just give it to your,
Of course, yeah.
a spouse or a girlfriend or kid or family member, whatever, right? That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
Mhm. So let's head over to the lives real quick. We got a lot of positive things from people that have had the rival and the binos over here. And we're scrolling. Corey Oscar said look for him at the Best in Texas match, and you can look through a scope.
I don't have to
Oscar
look for
Salazar?
Oscar. I can hear him.
He's our most animated team member. I love him. Awesome.
He's a good dude. He's fun
Yeah.
to hang out with.
Dave said he just received a pair of binos, and you guys did a fantastic job.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Leon also said the binos are super impressive. The glass is amazing in them. We'll hit Dylan's question in a little bit. Dave also said the bino bag was thought out nicely. And then Rudy has a question. He says he knows it's kind of subjective, but how would you rate the audible and tactile feel of the clicks in your scopes?
Ooh.
Well, we've kind of gone through a couple of different iterations of that. And some people will probably want to murder me for saying this, but I would say, if you guys are familiar with tangent theta clicks, I'd say ours are pretty close on the most recent production run that we've done. So
Yeah. The clicks
They're
are really
clicky.
positive. Yeah.
the clicky without it being too hard so that you skip over anything. That's especially because we have a 15 mil per turn turret. So the spacings are a little bit tighter than a 10 mil per turn. But we wanted to make sure that there was a nice distinct positive clickiness to them, that you weren't, if you were speed dialing, that you didn't overshoot or undershoot significantly and you were skipping clicks.
Yep, that makes sense, and that sounds like awesome. I know there's some optics companies that are working on improving the feel of the turrets right now, and some that have just kind of got it. So it's good that you can say that they feel like that. Ruth is watching. She said hi, Carlee.
Hi, Ruth.
So we've kind of talked a bit about a lot of the products, but we'll just go ahead and go through them again, kind of from the top down, just to kind of sum everything all up together. I think the Rival is the first product I saw from you guys, and I'm assuming that it's the first big thing that you guys came out with.
Yep.
That is our flagship product, as we call it.
Yeah.
Flagship. That's a good word. So we've covered the Rival pretty good, I think, at this point. Let's go back into those binos one more time. So there's 2 or 3 different versions of the binos out there.
We've got 3. So we've got 10 by 42s, 12 by 50s, and then 12 by 50s with the etched ranging reticle. So those are our 1250 pros.
Yeah, so we call them the Summit ED series, which is really just the kind of the extra low dispersion glass series.
Plus
yeah,
the Canadian in us like to say Summit series.
yeah, there's the famous 1972 Summit series between Canada and Russia. So in hockey. So yeah. So I like to nerd out over stuff like that. But yeah, so the 10s, 12s, and the 1250 pros. Yeah.
Very cool. And then there's the hunting scope.
Yeah, we literally call that the Hunter 3 to 15. Yeah.
And then I think the only thing we haven't talked about yet is the LVPO that you guys got over there. LP.
Yes, the edge.
Yeah, the edge 1 to 10. So yeah, we kind of set out from a little bit of my 3-gunning background, and then talking to a bunch of law enforcement and military guys. They're like, "Hey, I heard you're thinking about making an LPDO." We're like, "Yeah." They're like, "What mag range?" We're like 1 to 10. They're like, "Oh, amazing. You know what you can do with that?" I was like, "Yep, I already had the idea." So we literally wanted to make something that was super awesome for really close, quick, fast engagements and target transitions. And then something that you could actually use to poke out to, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 yards, depending on what caliber you were shooting. So really we try to make a mix between, especially if you turn the illumination on, like a hybrid combat reticle. We call it the HCR reticle, which is really like taking advantage of the first focal plane system to give you certain elements at 1 to 4x, 1 to 5x, and then those elements disappear out of field of view, and you start to get like a modified Christmas tree with an inner dot set of like segmented rings and a dot. So we are really excited about that. At around 5 to 5.5 magnification, those outer illuminated rings disappear, and then you get like a really nice crisp Christmas tree with it's super useful if you're looking to do holdovers. Plus, on top of that, I mean, one of the main things that that was important to us was to make it a true 1x optical system. We worked with our engineering team on that quite a bit at actually SHOT Show 2021, 2022. Yeah, when we were down there and they were showing us some of the early prototypes. We wanted to make sure that, if you're doing both eyes open shooting, which is what most of the 3-gunners do, if not all of them, you really want to be able to not have any, optical distortion between both the, your dominant eye and your non-dominant eye. So,
Right.
Yeah, that was super important to us. And then that lit up reticle, you almost use it like a red dot or a prism sight at the low magnifications, right? So
we do have pictures of the reticle at various magnifications, like on the product page on our website. Yeah. In case we're not perfect at explaining it. Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's one of my favorite things when we're at shows too. We're like, okay, look through it. Now spin the zoom ring and tell me what you see. So it's always a nice surprise for people who are new to us. So
that's interesting. So it's almost like a modified hollow 65 MOA at 1x with the 1 dot in the center.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
Huh. Nifty.
Yeah, and the whole goal of those outer rings is just to really instantly give you a point of reference for your optical center, right? And then it just drives your eye to that middle, with those middle inner dots. So yeah, you just get your point of aim real quick.
You're saying it really technical, but when we shoot open division in USPSA, we call it glass on brown, and that's like a really fine version of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to a lot of military and law enforcement guys, and they're like, rapid target transitions, and they have all these like acronyms and super technical words that they use in their training. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I'll just borrow that.
Yeah,
that's nice. Oh, you can tell I'm a 3-gunner. I just want to go fast, man.
Yeah, go fast, don't suck. Yeah.
Yeah, but that is really cool because you basically just put the big giant circle in the center of the IPSC and just pull the trigger real quick.
Yeah, we actually did some testing with that in the early prototyping stage, and I was again with at the range a couple of weeks ago with one of our top 3-gun guys here in Canada, and he's an IPSC national champion, and yeah, we were just kind of, he was trying it out, and he's like, I only saw the drawings, I didn't really see the earlier prototypes and stuff, and he's just like, he's like at I think it's like a 20 or 25 yards, it just covers the IPSC target perfectly, and so yeah, it works.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's one we're really excited about.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, so
I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and it's got a 34 mil tube, still that ED Japanese glass system. All 3 scopes are made in the exact same factory in Japan, so we want to make sure that we had that consistency of manufacturing, that everything was the same look and feel. The nice thing about the Hunter and the Edge scopes, the LPVO, is that they both have the same locking 0-stop elevation turret system. So it took us about 6 months to get that engineered properly and get it to work.
Yeah, to get the exposed locking turrets with the full 0-stop was something that was really important to us, but proved a bit of a challenge, which is why we're not to market yet.
Yeah, but they're getting made right now, so that's exciting. And then they both have locking windage turrets as well. So it's yeah, you're not going to be bumping anything against your gear or whatever else, knocking your zero
Right.
off or anything like that. So
Yep.
that was a key component for us.
Yeah. So like using a 1 to 10 for the past year or so, it's probably the most versatile optic I've ever had, from
Yeah.
like 3-gun to hunting to just like keeping in the truck type thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like one optic that I would not feel bad even shooting a PRS match with, like if I could dial. Like I know they did that. I'm just not that old.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that was kind of the goal for us too, is like, how do we make a super versatile, we call it the dual optic, right? So
Yeah.
no matter what you want to do, it can do that job for you, unless you're looking to shoot out to like 1,000 yards, maybe, but you probably could. The one thing
Give
that
me a
we
big
really
enough plate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's one of the other things that, we want to make sure that we had, it's really, really hard to do a parallax adjustment on an LPVO, because just, you don't have the tube length for it. It's hard to engineer that. I'm pushing for it, because I think that'd be the next level thing that we kind of industry, I guess, trend setting. But we want to make sure we had a fixed parallax at 150 yards, so that it reduces that parallax, or the potential of parallax error at 1,000 yards down, and shrinks it down, right? So that's one. We've talked to guys who want to put this this LPVO on their ARs, on their AR-10s, guys who want to put it on lever actions,
or
Yes.
the 10.2s.
they want to put it on bush guns and stuff like that, right? So some guy talked about putting it on a muzzle loader. I was like, absolutely, go for it. Let me know how it works. And so yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, we've been displaying it at our last number of shows on a Canadian rifle, the Sterling R18 is something that we've been displaying it on a fair bit.
Yeah, it's like an AR 180 inspired rifle, so it's actually still technically legal in Canada.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works.
I had to Google that. Anyway,
That's what Google's for.
Yeah.
listen, I am the most squirrel brained individual y'all will ever meet. Anyway, we're about at the midpoint of the show. Remember, if you're watching us live on Facebook, ask any questions you might have in the comment section of the video. We'll ask it live on air. Other ways to catch us, you can always check back on the Shooter's Mindset Facebook page. The videos stay up there forever. We usually upload to all of the podcast apps the night after the show. And then finally, everything ends up on the Shooter's Mindset YouTube page. So that's a great place to look up past episodes.
Jen, you're so muted.
You pulled a
Sorry, I
Greg.
never mute during the show, but I had a phone call that I absolutely had to take. And so I'm muted, and I forgot that I'm muted because I never do it. I'm just talking to myself. So y'all have kind of dove into the competitive shooting arena. Tell us a little bit about how your involvement in the community is benefiting y'all, and how's it been with the feedback? Is it helping with exposure?
It really has been. I mean, like we said before, the competitive shooting community has been incredibly welcoming to us. They've been so friendly.
Mhm.
People are really excited. Just honestly,
Just have another choice.
just to have another choice. I think everybody likes to try new gear and just nerd out and see what's new and that kind of thing. So that's been really beneficial to us. It's allowed us to meet a ton of new people. A lot of the other brands in the competitive shooting industry have also been really fantastic for us to work with as well. Our competitive shooting team is invaluable to us, not just because there are boots on the ground out in the field at matches, but because they provide us with feedback, not just their own, but what they're hearing from, other shooters around them of, what's missing or what could be better or what they wish they had or those kinds of things. So, there really are eyes and ears out there just for so many different things, whether it's our current product offering, or what we could be doing in the future, what would be good in a Gen 2 or those kinds of things. As well. Yeah,
for sure. And we saw tremendous value in having, our shooting team out there that so we started shipping the Rival. I mean, it took us 2.5 years or so, or about 2 years to get to market with the first product. So we took our time with it. We didn't want to rush it out. So we only started shipping in June of last year was when we started
June.
shipping the first
Right.
batches of the Rival.
2022.
So we had a pretty big backlog of pre-orders that we had to clear, but
We pre-sold almost our entire first round of inventory, which was also overwhelming for an optic that was, for lack of better terms, sight unseen.
a
Yeah.
lot of people took a lot of
lot of
chances on us.
Chances on us, and just a lot of people, some of them just, in Canada especially, wanted to support a Canadian company, or people just wanted to support us or support
Yep.
some, another company in the industry and that kind of thing. That in itself was really overwhelming. So yeah, we didn't ship June, July of last year was when we actually
Yeah.
shipped our first product ever.
So we've been shipping
So-
that since, and then we grew to 9 SKUs this year from the one last year. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, but honestly, the shooting community and the sports shooting community has been extremely welcoming to us. We grew up in that community, so we're not necessarily strangers. They didn't treat us like that, and everybody just embraced us super hard, and we just wanted to make sure that we were delivering for them. So like I said, starting to talk with our shooting team, our shooting team was an extension of our company. We want to make sure we treated them like family. They weren't just a number to us. They weren't just like, oh, hey, here's an optic and see you later. We'll talk to you guys in like a year or two.
Yeah.
We have a team chat going on in our Facebook.
Yeah, we have a private Facebook group for just our team.
And we talk about stuff all the time.
do.
They give us ideas like, hey, have you guys thought about this? Have you thought about that?
There's a lot of people on our shooting team that we talk to every single day.
Yeah.
We want to be accessible to them as well too. Like, they're not just a number to us. Every person that applied to be on our shooting team, we spoke to personally.
Yeah.
We had a phone conversation with them.
Sometimes for 3 hours.
Sometimes, yeah, we really got to know these people. And because they're, and like we said, an extension of our brand, and they're all the places that we can't be. Like I said, we've got a private Facebook group where we like to chat and get to know, like, hey, who's shooting this weekend? Where's everybody shooting?
It's everybody's birthday.
When's everybody's birthday? And everybody kind of looks for each other, and they've, all started making friends in the field. We also wanted to do more than just, like Van said, just be like, here's your optic and your jersey, see you later, have a great season. For us, the more that you can shoot and the easier we can make it for you to shoot more often, then the more you can shoot, and the more you're in the field, and the more you're representing us. And so we've tried to partner strategically with as many brands as we possibly can, with other really great companies in the industry to help get our team additional sponsorships or discounts or things like that, to try and support them holistically where we can. So like we said, that they can go out and shoot more. We want there to be more than just here's your optic advantage to being a member of Team Apex. We've got a lot of junior shooters on our team this year that we've added, and we've had some of the more seasoned members, shall we say, of our shooting team say, hey, you know what, like, I'm going to be running club matches, come on out, let's practice your skills, or those kinds of things. Or they're, really willing to offer mentorship, or, somebody's got a line on components, like, hey, who wants primers? Those kinds of things.
Here's a link, go buy them all now.
Like, oh, hey, I'm in a bulk thing. Who can I ship all these things to? And that kind of thing. So, we've really,
and we've been pretty lucky with the awesome people that have been our shooting
we're
team.
so fortunate. Oh my goodness. Like, our shooting team are just, every one of them are just fantastic, wonderful humans. I love them all so much.
Yeah.
We're so lucky, honestly. Like, I don't care what any other company says. We have the best team in shooting sports. Like, come at me and argue, because you won't win.
Yeah. But no, we've been pretty lucky, and we grew the team substantially this year.
We did.
As Carlee mentioned, I think we went from 12 last year between Canada, US, and we only had two.
We had only two US gentlemen last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're based out of North Dakota, and
basically Canadian.
Basically honorary, but with extra freedom.
Yeah.
But
so what do people look for in sponsored shooters? Do you look more for those that are winning matches, or do you look more for attitude? And
yes, we want you to be awesome.
As far as
personality goes, we know not everybody has like a big boisterous personality like I myself do. Like I have even though Van's been talking more than I have, this is unusual for us actually. It's because he's getting into the technical weeds. That's why I'm the bigger personality. I'm the really chatty one. I don't expect everybody to be like me. I know not everybody is like, gonna want to come and work trade shows and talk to people or be in those kinds of roles or even be that way when they're at the range. What we told every one of our shooters is, just chatting with you. What we want you to do is go out and keep doing what you're doing and keep being the awesome person that you are. And that's how you'll represent us well. Somebody wants to chat with you and take a look through your scope or ask you how you're liking it or any of those kinds of things. Tell them what you think, like you would with any other piece of gear. Your sponsorship isn't hinged on how many wins you have this year. If you come in last at every single match, but you've got a great attitude and everyone loves being with you at the range and thinks you're awesome and people are, clamoring to squad with you because you're just great to spend a day with, perfect. That's all we need in a Team Apex shooter. If you win, absolutely, that's fantastic.
Sing your praises. Yeah.
We'll sing your praises, you're going to be going on to, bigger competitions and that kind of thing. Absolutely. We'll do what we can to help support you to get there. But we don't need you to be first. It's like, well, you only had, one top 20 finish this year. So, sorry, better luck next year. No,
we didn't take that approach.
We didn't take that approach. We just really, want awesome people.
Yeah, and like Carlee said, it was really, as our shooting team is an extension of us and our company and our brand, like we want to make sure that we have people that were out there that were representing us the way we want to be represented.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is just, having conversations with people. And we had I think the week before we left for SHOT Show, we were having conversations with folks. Like my day was booked from like 8 a.m. until like 9 p.m. most days because I was talking to people, Carlee was talking to people, and we were just trying to get as many, because we had almost 200 people apply to be on our team.
We did not expect that. We're like, oh, maybe like 50 people apply and we'll be able to get through that pretty quickly. But so many people had such thoughtful applications. Our juniors had some of the most thoughtful applications. And we're like, these people are the future of the sport. We want them to grow with us. And so many of our sponsored shooters, that was really what they wanted to do as well. They wanted to grow as we grow and really be a part of what it is that we're trying to do.
And so, and not just, further to that point, like we want to make sure that we supported our shooters, we supported our team members, but we want to make sure that we support the sport overall as well, right? So this year it was very important for us that we were in a capacity to be able to do it as to sponsor PRS as a series at the pro level. And then also, so we're an official sponsor of the PRS this year and for the next 2 years, actually. And then we're also the Northeast Regional presenting sponsor for the Northeast region for both centerfire and rimfire. So we're very excited about that. And as a result of that, we wanted to make sure that we had representation in kind of every PRS region and especially in the Northeast.
And the Northeast actually worked out to be a really nice spot for us because so many of our Canadian shooters and Ontario in particular travel down there and shoot stateside as well. So we can have some international representation in that particular region, maybe more so than some of the others.
Yeah, I mean, you said a ton about the sponsorship program, but I think a lot of it is representative of the community, where when you say you get into the PRS, it's one of the most welcoming things you'll ever get into as far as a sport. And it's really important for a company that wants to be a part of that sport to really present themselves in the best possible way and really continue that value, right? Because we love it and we want to pass it on, but making sure that you're supporting the right kind of people, the people that are fun to be around, because I mean, at the end of the day, this is all so much fun for us. Like, know, you might go start an optics company, whatever, it's a side gig, but for most people, it's what we do for fun. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what we want to pass on. So I think
we want to have a good day, right?
Yeah. Even if it's raining every single weekend for the past 12 weekends.
And I've said,
honestly, that's the thing.
I've said for a long time, like, I really think that companies, especially emerging companies, I think that you get more bang for your buck with newer shooters, because a lot of the top shooters, they're already sponsored by an optic company. So you're not going to probably pull them away, number one. Number two, they have so many optics, they don't need and so they're not as willing to just try different things. But the
Yes.
new shooters, you know, if you have shooters that are mid-pack shooters or even last place shooters, they're out there to have fun. So you know what they're doing? They're not analyzing the stage in between. They're running their mouth and chit chat.
Yeah.
Like me, I don't like planning. I'm like, oh, I gotta go now. Oh, I better get some dope written down, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm out there chit chatting, but that's how people get the word out, is those that are actually talking to new shooters that aren't so focused that, and there's nothing wrong with being focused. I think it's great,
Oh,
but
for sure.
it's harder for some of the, and there are some that do it well, but it's hard for all of the top shooters to be able to stay that focused and in their game and still talk with newer shooters and say, hey, look at this scope. It's great. You know, I just think
100%.
Yeah, I'm usually the guy who's writing down his dope about 30 seconds before he's next up. So yeah, that's pretty bad.
Well, and for us too, like what you're saying about new shooters, for us, it isn't about just targeting existing shooters and converting them from whatever optic they're running. It's about growing the sport, and growing the sport for everyone. I mean, in Canada, for some of the goal there is to grow the voter base a little bit too, but it's hard here in Canada. It's hard. But really it is for us to grow the sport. In particular too, women are the fastest growing demographic in this sport. Junior women are one of the fastest growing demographics. Most of the matches that we have close to us, there's only a couple of male juniors and everybody else is a father-daughter team, which is crazy. It's girls. It's all junior girls, which is, I mean, it's great
awesome
to see.
yeah.
We've got a junior boy on our team who's been getting his mom out shooting and that kind of thing too, which is fantastic.
Down in Texas.
That's Gage, isn't it?
It's Gage Cables. Yeah, he's got Kirsty out shooting. And oh my goodness, his Facebook posts. Oh, they'll make you cry. He's so sweet, but
so
it's just
nice.
he's encouraging her to do this, right? And I mean, if you're getting, you know, the kids and the moms, I always say too, I'm like, if you can get the mom shooting, the whole family will shoot. And those are the things, right? You want people to go out and have a good time and chit chat and not be intimidated when they're like, oh my gosh, like I'm not on my game today, or, you know, something's going wrong or whatever, that people are like, whatever, who cares? You know what? Like it's, you know, they used to say, you know, a bad day on the golf course is better than a good day at work. And, you know, these are people's weekends that they're spending in doing this. And now people are doing it.
Traveling.
They're traveling this, and this is not inexpensive either. So it's something we want to focus more on growing the sport than, you know, trying to seek out everybody who finishes top 3 all the time.
Yeah, that was never our intent to go after the
No.
top tier shooters, like the guys who finished, you know, top 5 all the time and whatever. And those would be great to have on our team. Don't get me wrong, but we're not actively seeking them out. One, you know, we're a small company. We're still going to be a small company next year. We're not the size of the big boys out there. And, you know, we're not going to be able to lure them away from those companies. And that's okay. I mean, if they want to come over willingly, we'll definitely have that conversation. But really for us, what it came down to was always like, what is the intent of what we're trying to do?
Yeah.
And, you know, when we talk about, you know, purpose-built optics, we want to have a purpose behind what we're doing as well with our shooting team, with growing the sport, with getting more people involved. We're sponsoring ladies' days. We're getting people out to try the sport out for the first time ever. People are afraid to come out to the range because they don't know what it's like. They're intimidated by, you know, the size of the gear, the heaviness of the rifle, or how much gear you potentially need. They don't know what they're supposed to bring out with them. So we're like, just come out. We have all the stuff. Just come on out. Try it out for the first time, and the moment they get their first impact, you're like,
okay,
yeah, sold.
I'm
They're like, my wallet just cried.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nothing sells guns like hitting targets. That first time, that smile is impossible to replicate.
Yeah, exactly. So
you always got to start everybody with steel for that reason.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a few more lives. So Nick Buchanan wanted to know when you're coming out with a 15x Bino with a reticle, and forgive us if these are already live.
They're in R&D. Don't worry, they're
Okay.
coming.
Yeah.
I can safely say yes, those are coming.
there's a set on our kitchen.
They're on our kitchen island right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on binos, Renee wants to know about a 15x ranging bino, and he also wants a selectable reticle because he's picky. Sounds like a lot.
Well, we've just kicked off a pretty top secret project, so we'll keep pretty tight-lipped on that.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that it'll be awesome.
It will be awesome.
Yeah.
It
Cool.
will change what you think about binos. They're not Snoopy's binoculars.
Our kids watch a lot of.
Yeah.
Snoopy,
Snoopy show. Yeah. So
So it looking over at your website, it kind of appears there's a Canadian alliance starting up there. So you guys were lining up with two of our favorite Canadian companies, MDT and Trigger Tech. How did you guys get this relationship started, and kind of what are some of the things you guys are doing as a team?
well, so Canadians love other Canadians. I don't know what it is. We're just that way. We'll go anywhere in the world and we'll find the only other person there from Canada. So randomly. So that's a bit of a part of it for us too. When we came to market, a lot of the Canadian rifle builders were like, well, hot damn. Now we can do an all Canadian built rifle and we can sell it as such, because Canadians love to buy Canadian if they can.
We have a small industry.
Small industry for our country, but they like to buy Canadian when they can. And so being able to display our other Canadian partners at trade shows whenever we can makes us really excited. I mean, we just also love like Trigger Tech. We're a Trigger Tech house. We run only Trigger Tech triggers in our home, so that's a big part of it for us too.
I keep telling Mark and those guys they need to make like a drop-in trigger for a CZ75, but they don't listen.
Every time Mark's like, no, just stop asking me. Leave me alone.
I've been asking.
Have you done a trigger job on one of those yet?
Yeah. And I mean, MDT, they're not just Canadian, they're Western Canadian as well. They're not far from us. Same with International Barrels and Ultimatum. Yep. So we're really fortunate to have all of those companies just so close to us. The other thing is a lot of times we're at matches and they're shooting the matches too, and that kind of thing.
That was the first time I ever met Martin from MDT. I was fortunate that he was in my squad at the Canadian Sharpshooter Classic, which was the only PRS sanctioned match that we had up there for a while. And so he was in the squad, and I had a prototype on, and he's like, "Hey, what's that?" And I'm like, Apex Optics, what's going on here? Like, what are you guys doing? And I'm told him the story. He was like, "That's amazing." And
the other thing too with these Canadian companies is so I guess little known fact to a lot of people is for SHOT Show 2022. We went down there randomly, and we were like, we're not big enough.
It was last minute.
It was last minute. We've got a few, or like two or three, like just prototype optics. What do we do? We're trying to get our name out there. We're having meetings with people, and MDT and KDEX offered to display one of our just early prototypes on a pre-production on a rifle at each of their booths. So they were Canadian companies that just wanted to give another Canadian company just a leg up. It cost them nothing, but it gave us so much.
It gives us a lot of exposure.
And then this year, each of them had a half dozen scopes, and they were walking people over to our booth because people are like, what's that orange ring? I've never heard of that optic company before, and that kind of thing. So that's where the Canadian, industry has just been so kind and welcoming to us, and, really supportive and that kind of thing. So now we just had a trade show just this last weekend. Every rifle we had a Trigger Tech trigger and an MDT chassis, and they all had IBI barrels and that kind of thing too. So
and we work with other companies like obviously Ultimatum and IBI, and then Pristine out of Chilliwack, BC as well. The Pristine Actions. I don't know if you guys had anybody from there on there, but they're a new custom action company as well. And
Sterling Arms R18. EWA 2022. We got a phone call from someone local here, the owner of Sterling Arms International, said, well, I'm going over to EWA in Nuremberg. I've got a booth to display my rifles. Why don't you bring some optics, put them on my rifles, and come and work the booth. Bring a banner, tell people about your company, bring some print material, work the booth with us. Just again, another Canadian company, just trying to give a new Canadian company just a hand up and a helping hand. And that's
kind of how it all started.
That's really how it all started. So it was these other Canadian companies that helped, really get us a lot of early exposure, which was really kind.
And a lot of them have also given us a lot of really good advice. As somebody who's new to the industry, we had no idea what we're doing. Like,
really great mentorship, honestly.
Yeah. Like, we have a business background, but not in the firearms industry. Like, so it was a little bit different, right? So you're like, okay, who's good to work with? Who's good to work with, who's not? Let's navigate some of the more, I guess, regulatory stuff with you. Like, let's help you out with this. Let's help you out with that. And they said, oh, here's who I have as a really good distributor in the UK or in Europe, or here's who's good in Australia and New Zealand. And who's, so they're giving us like really good pointers and who people are good to work with and who are maybe not so good to work with as far as like retail presence goes. So it's been really.
But even the other Canadian optics company, Tangent Theta, we've got a great partnership with them because they make custom Tenebrex covers and ARDs for us as well, which are something that a lot of people want. So that's been a great partnership. They've been really great, really kind and really welcoming. Because people are like, oh, like, are you, they're your competition. And I'm like, well, yes and no, but I'm like, because people are like, oh, I'm sorry, like I have a tangent. I'm like, they're really kind humans. Like, I'm so glad that you supported them. It's crazy because when we saw them in Germany, not in Canada, because it's just easier to see each other on the other side of the world than the other side of the country. But they've also been really great, and that's been a great partnership for us as well. So and they've been supportive of members of our shooting team as well, which has been really fantastic. So
this whole last couple minutes just sounded so Canadian. It's like everybody's so nice and happy. We're all friends.
So nice and friendly, and we all say a lot. And
don't you know? I love it. That is great, and it's not just the Canadian companies that are that way. It's everybody in this sport.
That's been our experience, honestly. Yeah, it really has.
We together with our Canadian partners and put together a rifle for a sticker draw last week that we thought would take several weeks to sell, and it took months. It took 30 hours, and we sold out on our sticker draw to raise money to send our 3 members of Team Apex to help fund their trips over to Italy. For Worlds.
So for 2 for Team USA and 1 from Team Canada.
So we've got 3 members of our team going. So
so we're pretty excited about that. So now I don't even have the rifle yet. That's really
an all Canadian rifle build to somebody. So And
then so we're pretty excited about that, and we're selling it all weekend at the last show, and we literally came like Saturday afternoon, like, well, we're 100% sold out. This is insane. So I think it was an ultimatum deadline Gen 2 action with an IBI barrel, a trigger deck trigger, and
MDT ACC Elite chassis,
Skypod, and our optics. So
I saw that. I was like, what is a sticker draw? Are we drawing a sticker? And I was like, oh, okay.
It's one of the things we have to do to be able to have a contest without calling it a raffle
but that was just another way. I mean, for our shooters to go and compete internationally, I mean, just their match fees alone for Worlds are, I believe they're 900 USD or something like that. So just to be able to find another way again to support our shooters,
and just help cover some of those travel costs. That was one of the main things. I mean, because a lot of people call us up and they're like, oh, hey, we've been I think I'm in the running to get a spot on the national team for the Worlds, but I don't know if I can go. And literally, like, the conversation that we had with all of our shooters about that was, if you want to go, you go. We'll figure something out. We'll make it work. We'll work with partners. We'll do what it takes to get you over there.
Money won't be why you don't go. So
that's awesome.
That is very awesome.
So the speed that you kind of put everything together, especially in like the past 2 and 3 years, has kind of been impressive as far as like seeing what you've done and seeing you down in Navasota last year. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
The tough. I can't even think about that question really, honestly. I think obviously we're gonna have a bunch more products, but I think we're probably gonna. My goal is to revolutionize PRS. We have some crazy ideas that I hopefully within those 5 years we'll implement, but something I think that will change the way everybody shoots a match with optics.
What do you mean by that? Because obviously, so I run matches. Greg runs matches. You could mean a whole bunch of things. You could mean you want to go from guys shooting in a field to like having an actual event and having the Friday before be something where you have new people coming out, you have classes, and you have actual hands-on demos, and you have more than just the Saturday, Sunday competition. So what do you mean?
Well, first of all, that's a great idea.
I love that idea.
I think we should all get together and figure out how we can start doing that.
We'll see you in 3 weeks.
Yeah, perfect. Booking my flight right now. But no, 100% though, honestly, one of the things that I'm kind of talking when I say that is how you shoot a stage, how you shoot a match.
Okay.
From a product innovation.
Product innovation development perspective.
Gotcha.
We're going to try and do things that nobody's ever put into an optic before. We're going to try to do things that nobody's ever tried from a workflow perspective for team matches. We're going to try to do things and jam a lot of features and concepts that maybe exist in other spheres, but not in competitive shooting. So I can't talk about it too much because we're still in development. There's a lot of intellectual property stuff that's happening behind the scenes that we're trying to secure. But at the same time, I'm really excited with where we're going as a company. The big thing that we're always trying to do is we're trying to do innovative things. Like Carlee said at the beginning of this chat, is that we don't want to just make something for the sake of making it because somebody else has the same product, and we just want to have one with an Apex brand name on it. That's not what we're trying to do.
Well, and that was the whole thing. I mean, we could have just easily been to market 3 years ago if we had just decided to be like, hey, we like these colors, cool, this is our logo design, slapped it on it and just had everything shipped over.
Just had a screen print on the side of a
because but we really chose not to do that. I mean, I don't want to say nitpicked, but we did.
So we were very particular.
We're particular, and we, agonized over every last detail. And we do that with every one of our products. And we plan to do that with, every one of our future products. I will say, I guess, where are we going to be in 5 years in terms of products? We get asked about spotting scopes and rangefinders and all of those kinds of things. Red dots are another thing that we get asked about. And we're currently in R&D for over a dozen new products as it stands. But again, whenever we're going to release one of those products, we still want it to be purpose built and with innovation. We want to do it, and we want to do it better, and we want it to be super cool. For lack of better terms. So.
So where we're going to be in 5 years is going to be hard to say. Either, we're going to blow up and be gigantic, or we're going to stay relatively the same size, but just with a bunch more products and be super innovative. People ask us, oh, do you want to be a Vortex or a Nathlon or a Night Force or whatever the size? I'm like, I don't think we do. Like, I don't think that's never really the goal, is to be a gigantic monolithic optics corporation. Like, we really just want to stay in our own lane. People ask us about stuff all the time. It's like, oh, I see you have a tripod. Does that mean you're making tripods? No, that's just what the rifle's sitting on top of, and we have some Apex stickers on it. Like, it's like, but it has your sticker on it.
But your rifle case also has my sticker on it. So
but no, I mean, it's a natural
thing on a cricket.
It's a natural progression to have a tripod as an optics company, but we want to really stay in our own lane and just be focused on making some really good optics and be thought out and be thoughtful about what we're doing and very intentional with the choices that we're making.
And I think too, we'll grow our team and we'll grow our staff. But even again, when we do that, we have grown our staff and some of our consultants this year, and we've been very thoughtful and particular about who we've chosen, just because we have such a clear vision of the company. And in 5 years, I don't see us necessarily sitting on a beach somewhere completely hands off while somebody else, runs this. This is something that we're truly passionate about. I never thought that, sport optics would be what we would be doing and what we'd be passionate about, but we always knew it would be something. And, you never know when it's going to be the right time. If you wait for the perfect time, it's never going to happen. Obviously we didn't wait for the perfect time to start our company, but it made sense. I didn't think I'd be, sitting at my kitchen island, pregnant with a kid that wasn't even a year old yet. And, Van's putting up backsplash tiles, and we're like, okay, well, but it needs to have this and it needs to have that. And
we're brainstorming ideas as I'm tiling. So
and it's crazy to think that we've come so far just from that point in such a short time. And so I'm excited to see where we will be in 5 years if we've been able to accomplish this much in the first 3. Where are we going to be in another 5? We'll be 8 years into it. That's crazy to think about, honestly. I mean, we do already have things planned out, like what we want to announce, at SHOT Show and in 2024 and in 2025 and those kinds of things. And
so we don't have a 5-year plan just yet, but probably like 2 to 3.
3-year plan and what that looks like. But but we're excited.
Definitely.
That definitely comes through.
We really like what we do, honestly. I mean, and because the community and the shooters really make it worthwhile. I mean, when we're at SHOT Show, they're really long days where you're talking a lot, but you can't go to sleep at night because you're just buzzing with excitement over so many amazing conversations that you had. And, we're excited, and then other people are excited, and you just feed off of that incredible energy. So
5 years is kind of a big goal. And we always ask people that, where do you see your company in 5 years? I ask that when I interview people at work, where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's always interesting to hear what people say, what they are striving for, but so to back it up a little bit. So in the next year, what are your goals, both personally and, by personally, I don't mean like, are you going to have another baby? I mean, like,
No,
we're
done.
I mean, like, your personal shooting sport, and as a company and as a business, what are your 2023 goals?
Well, I think Carlee's goal is to maybe shoot a PRS match, even just a 1 day this year for the first time.
yes, my rifle is being built as we speak. I'm very excited. I dropped my chassis off last week to be Cerakoted, which is exciting. I've got a couple of just small pet projects for things within Apex, just some exciting little accessories that I think that'll make things just a lot easier for people in the field that I'm personally really excited about. I'm a left-handed shooter. I need a left bolt. So read into that what you will. I know apparently it's less than 4% of shooters. Yeah, I just can't. If I'm running a right bolt,
Well, you're left
so-
in a dominant.
It's so awkward. It's honestly it's painful to watch. You'll be like, you know what? I'm glad you have a left bolt, because I can't watch that.
Brain wreck for me. Like,
it's
please
so
stop.
bad.
Please stop.
It's so bad. But yeah, I mean, as far as, I guess for the company, just, we have the Hunter and the Edge are going to be shipping in a couple of months here. We've got matches this summer that we're going to be at, which we're really excited about. We're excited to support our team. We're excited for our team going, like I said, to Italy. We've got some exciting stuff in the fall. We are really excited about like the binoculars and the hunting scope, and kind of moving a little bit into that outdoor space as well.
We're excited we're tentatively planning on coming out for the finales at MKM this year. So we just like to have a presence and be there, especially as the Northeast sponsor, and we sponsor a lot of those the PAPRS matches as well. So we just want to make sure that we're out there and get to meet everybody in person and show our faces and have people meet us and for the first time if they haven't met us already. So that we're excited for that. So we're trying to make that work with some of the other trade shows that we have in Ontario. There's a pretty major show called TACCOM, which is kind of like our mini Canadian SHOT Show, but it's open to the public. So that's pretty fun. But so we're trying to work it out with all of our travel schedule. It's getting pretty hectic this year, again, with going to Japan and everything like that. But
I'd like to maybe paint a wall in our living room.
it'd be good to get to some of the things that are in the house at some point too, instead of everything.
Yeah.
I'd like to get more than 4 hours of sleep. That'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be good. We want to do a lot of hiking this summer with the girls. They love going out, and they love when we're testing binos. Actually, kind of like a fun fact around that. You never know when you're going to end up developing a new product without really realizing it. Our daughter, for her 3rd birthday in November, all she wanted was her own set of miniature Apex
Real binos.
She didn't want the plain ones, whatever, because I got her a set for like $4 at Target. She was like, no, that's not what I want. I want real binos, and they have to be Apex binos. Like, don't just, take some orange tape and call it a day. Like, she was very specific.
Yeah, for a 3-year-old, 2-year-old at the time.
So Van reaches out to the factory, and he's like, can you make her a set of 8-power binos?
In a smaller,
like make them look like our binos, but in a small form factor. Like, is that possible, just to make a prototype or whatever? Thinking, sure, whatever it would.
I'd say I'll pay the tooling fee. Just get it done.
This is all she wants. It was very important to her because she loves all the optics things and helping out Apex. So she gets this set of binos and she loves them. And everybody who came to her birthday party were like,
they see him standing
on the counter, and they're like, are you developing those? Because those are awesome. I want a pair of those. Those are great. So now we're like, oh my God, now we're having to make 8-power binos.
By 32s coming out at some point.
Yeah, so. We keep getting asked about them now at trade shows, and people are like, well, where did you come up with the idea to do this? I'm like, well, let me tell you. You never know when inspiration is going to.
It was not intentional.
It was not intentional, but so I guess. Oh, and 15-power binos. That's another thing that we're hoping to come out with.
Yeah, we're more than likely hoping to come out with them later this year or at SHOT Show next year, but we're working on a pair of 15 power ED binos that are, honestly, we were testing them in the mountains all last weekend, and
Yeah.
they're incredible. I was so excited for them.
Yeah, we're really excited.
I was, I'm pretty excited for those. So I think I'm going to try using those at most of my matches. They don't have the reticle in them right now, but I think we'll try to slam one in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we managed to fit in family time and that kind of thing too.
Yeah, we take our
Because
girls
we're
with us.
outdoorsy, and we did go to Florida for a couple weeks, take some much needed time off and that kind of thing too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Very nice. So whose idea was the orange?
I don't know who could take credit for that. We wanted something that as soon as you saw the scope on a line, that it was like, yep, that's an Apex.
Yeah.
And so now we have people looking for the orange ring for like teammates or people who are other owners or whatever,
Yeah.
and they get together and chat and they all hang out and like they're best friends kind of thing. So
It's actually kind of funny.
I can't take credit for that, but we did wanted something that set us apart.
I feel like the orange was more you than
Yeah.
me, but it was also like, well, what else do we really want to do? Because we didn't want blue, because if you hunt, then that's just game off.
Anything that's an ungulate will see that as
Yes.
a glowing red ring or glowing ring, whatever, how they see that blue.
It's
and
basically
purple.
neon to them. So we're
Yeah.
like, okay, that's out. But we knew we wanted to do something, and we wanted something to stand out, something that we could do a lot of really great branding around.
And not just that, on top of that, the orange worked out. We actually had the logo first before we decided to do the orange ring. And then we're like, oh, our orange ring works out perfect with the blue, the orange and black and orange and white combination. Plus, if you're out hunting and if you're a hunter, then you're mostly wearing blaze orange or some sort of
Right.
accent that goes along with
Yeah.
that. So it worked out perfect. So like,
Yeah.
let's just go with that.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's like, to the human eye, it's like perfect branding, super easy to spot your product, but then also it still does kind of not stick out quite as much when you're hunting.
Yeah.
Joshua has another idea for a Canadian collaboration here.
Oh,
The MDT send it level inside of the reticle.
Yeah. We've had a lot of requests for bubble levels inside the reticles, inside the scope. We've had lots of other people approach us about a lot of different things that we can slam in there, but there are
Yeah.
definitely some things that we're considering more so than others.
yes.
That
But
is-
thanks, Josh.
Yeah.
And I love your shirts. So they were showing us in the pre-show, they have shirts that say, "But did you dial?" Which is
Yeah.
great. Because I say, "But did you die?" all the time.
Yeah.
Well, and that's exactly why we
Came up with it. So that literally came from a match. We had guys I was squatted with that would literally they were sending rounds over top of the target by like a huge amount. And we literally said, "But did you dial?" And after he was done, like, oh no, I forgot to dial down from the previous stage or something. It's like, yeah, it didn't do its the checklist before the stage. So yeah, he was about like 4 mils high.
yeah.
So yeah, and that's how the saying came about. And I'm like, we have to make a T-shirt from this,
Yeah.
and literally just threw it to the design. I'm like, can you come up with something?
That's great. Are there any more lives?
We are good on the live side. Lots more, like tons of people just saying that all their products are awesome. And we
That's
don't
really
have to read
nice.
all of
Thank
them,
you.
but
Thank you.
lots of very positive comments.
That is great. Well, I think we can wind it down to shout outs. We normally start eeny, meeny, miny, mo with Corey.
I always get a little nervous when you start doing the eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
I was like, who am I going to start with?
I'm going to do Texas Precision Matches for stressing me out until we have the next match. Weebad for keeping my cheeks comfy. JP Rifles for amazing rifles, seen behind me. Federal for letting me shoot too many rounds a year. Yeah, that's what I got.
All right. How about Greg?
I got GSL suppressors, shooters and sharpshooters of Augusta, PDC Custom, Shooters World Powder, Hunters HD Gold, Fix It Sticks, and Vortex.
Awesome. How about Apex? Y'all got any shout outs?
Oh, I guess shout out to our entire shooting team
Yes.
and everybody who's helped us along the journey so far.
Yeah, and all of our like amazing partners and supporters of our team as well. Like MDT, Trigger Tech, IBI, Weebad has been fantastic to us.
Spearhead Machine.
Spearhead Machine. oh, I'm like, we're gonna forget somebody. Black Box Customs here in Calgary, and Precision Rifles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I know I've forgotten somebody. Sterling Arms. Yeah, everyone's just been so great. So we just want to thank everybody.
Awesome. And for me, I just want to I always shout out my husband for putting up with me doing this every Tuesday night. Because it's very kind of him to not get irritated with it every Tuesday night going on and on. But also I want to shout y'all out for everything that y'all do for the shooting sports and for your innovation and just kind of trying to fill that gap in mid-priced optics, I guess we could say.
Yes.
So, thank y'all for that. And we appreciate you coming on and spending your Tuesday night with us.
Thank you guys so much for having us. We're so appreciative and so honored to be guests of your show.
We enjoyed it. And so that will be a wrap for episode 402, and we will see everybody next time.